up, guys? It's eugenesmilez, and I'm back with another video. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Follow me on all social media at eugenesmilez. So let's get started. This is going to be one of my favorite videos. As you know, if you've been watching my videos and following me, I love Aaliyah. She was the first entertainer that I completely fell in love with. Like, from the first sight of her, it was something about her swag and her style. And then to see that she actually had a personality, that she was a sweet person, and she was smart. You know I was fucking with it. So since I have already, ranked Beyonce's albums, I've ranked Rihanna's albums, I have to do Baby Girl's album. And yes, you might be thinking, well, she only had 3 albums. Yeah, I'm gonna rank the 3 albums, but I'm also gonna include albums like the soundtrack of Romeo Must Die, which she did executive produce. So she was a part of helping picking the acts on that soundtrack. And I'm gonna also include the I Care For You compilation. So let's get started. How am I ranking these? I think I'm going to do similar like I always do. It will be loosely based on sales. Luckily, all of Aaliyah's studio albums have been double platinum, so that won't be that much of a deterrent of determining where they will place. I will also be looking at influence, because Aaliyah's albums and music have been very influential in today's music. That's going to also play a big part in how I choose where they go. Of course, it's going to be a little biased. It's my list, so I'm going to go on to things that I think are making them rank here and rank there and all of that. So we're going to use all of that, and I'm going to name some songs. I'm going to give y'all reasons. Everything I do, I have a reason for. Everything. So let's look at my list. So we're going to start off with I Care For You compilation. So, of course, this is going to be number 5. I had to make sure I had it right. Of course, it's going to be number 5 on our list. The I Care For You compilation, I remember when it came out. I want to say either a junior or senior in high school, and I left school early and went all the way to Best Buy to get this CD. It has a lot of her greatest hits on the album, which is like half of it. The other half is unreleased songs. Don't Know What to Tell You. Don't Worry. All I Need. Erica Kane. Beautiful, great songs. It would have been interesting to see if she was going to use these songs later, or if these were songs, some of the songs were for the Aaliyah album that she didn't want to use. And it's always kind of weird when an artist dies and unreleased music is released, because sometimes they might not have wanted that music to be released, or maybe they didn't like it. But I love All I Need. I love Erica Kane. It was really, I don't know, they were really different songs for the time. One of the things I loved about Aaliyah is that her music doesn't really have a time period except for one album, which we'll get into. It sounds like it can kind of go anywhere, and she was really particular on her sound, and she always wanted to do something different. And I feel like on the songs on that album, she did do something different, but because they were songs that probably she didn't want to get released, or, and half of them were greatest hits, I can't put it high on the list. I Care For You, number 5. Number 4, Romeo Must Die soundtrack. Surprise, right? Of course, it's the Romeo Must Die soundtrack. She does have Are You Feeling Me on there, which is super dope. It's played in the Romeo Must Die movie. Try Again, the number 1 hit, the only song to go number 1 off of airplay alone. Number 1 hit. Try Again, and I Don't Wanna Be, which is on the next Friday soundtrack, but it's also on this soundtrack. Also, she picked David Hollister. Genuine has song on here. Joe Rolls From a Concrete Lane, and I have it here. Oh, that's my little CD I made a long time ago. So I have the Romeo Must Die soundtrack. If you don't know, I had like about 90% of my stuff stolen from storage, and I had all my CDs in there, and of course my Aaliyah CDs were in there, which I was super upset because you can't find these things. The only one that you can find is AJ Nothing But a Number CD, because of where it lies in the record label spectrum for Aaliyah. But yeah, so luckily I think I found Romeo Must Die in one of those CD shops. So happy I found it, had to buy it. And then the other 2 albums, I had a friend that had them, and I was like, can I please have them? And he let me have them. So Yeah, number 4 is the Romeo Must Die soundtrack. Number 3, what do y'all think it is? Age ain't nothing but a number. Slowing down ain't nothing but a sign. Of course, this is an amazing album, but it does have a time period attached to it. It's very New Jack Swing. Early 90s was definitely a New Jack Swing era from, Boys to Men, R. Kelly. They were all doing that kind of New Jack Swing. Even TLC was doing that sound. So it is very of that time. But one of the things that do stick out for that, and what a lot of people weren't really doing at the time, was covers. She covered At Your Best You Are Love, which is a instant classic. Her version is a classic along with the Isley Brothers version. But then they remixed it, which that remix, y'all don't understand though. Y'all don't get it, because back in the day, I sound so old. Back in the day, when music videos used to come on for rotation for maybe a month or so, after that, we couldn't watch those music videos anymore. Unless somebody was doing a special music video countdown or something like that, where oh my God, I haven't seen that video in a while, I get to watch it. We didn't have YouTube. When stuff got off of radio, we didn't have access to it. If you weren't able to get the CD single, because that freaking Steppers remix of At Your Best is one of my favorite remixes of all time, one of my favorite Aaliyah songs of all time. And it's just so fucking smooth. And I just love how, though it was a very New Jack Swing album, there were certain moments where it could have been that it was switched up, and it had her own style in there. And I love that album. Young Nation, Under a Groove. Like, it's so smooth, it's so cool. Definitely Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, classic. Aaliyah has nothing but hits. Can you name a bad Aaliyah song? Can you name a bad Aaliyah song? No, you can't. Oh, okay. I can't either. Number 2. So I have gone back and forth on number 1 and number 2. Of course, she only has 2 more albums left. I have gone back and forth, so I had to look at what was the most influential, what was the most growth, what showed the most growth, which one do I revisit most. I went back and forth, and I wrote one thing down, but then I switched it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to say number 2 is going to be 1 in a Million. 1 in a Million is definitely, this is a fact, the most influential R&B album from the 90s. Why, you might say? 1 in a Million had a sound that no other artist was giving at that time. Out of all the girls, Brandy, Monica, Maya coming out a little bit later, TLC and Toni Braxton and Whitney Houston, nobody had a sound like that. And one thing that was so great about the 90s is that they didn't use the same producers. Everybody kind of had their own producers and their own sound, their own lane. And Aaliyah really reinvented herself with this. She took a chance and worked with Timbaland and Missy, who were unknown in the music industry. She took that chance and it paid off. Listen to 1 in a Million. Everything is usually on YouTube. If you don't have access to the CDs, we're still fighting to Aaliyah's music. Free Aaliyah's music! But listen to 1 in a Million. And a lot of those songs and that production style, her vocal styles, all of that you will hear in artists like Jhené Aiko. You will hear that in Summer Walker. You will hear that in her. You will hear that in Beyonce, Kelly Rowland. You will hear that in so many R&B artists. The Weeknd, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole. They have all sampled her music. Like, her influence is literally all throughout the music industry. And this is how you know that she is that girl, because she's been dead going on 20 years. This year, 2021, will be 20 years since she's passed. People still talk about her. Literally, almost every single verses that was happening when the verses thing started, an Aaliyah song was being played. Whether it was a writer playing it, a collaborator playing with it, an Aaliyah song was being played. She had literally stamped herself in the industry. She only got to live really in the industry for about 7 years. And she died at 22, but she literally was such a huge influence and had touched so many people. And this album is the album that did that. 1 in a Million, 4-Page Letter, Hot Like Fire, and that fire-ass remix, the one I gave my heart to. There are some deep, deep cuts on this album. Heartbreaker being one of them. I'm tired of my heart being broken. Not Heartbreaker, Heartbroken. Oh. Don't y'all drag me about my vocals in the comments though. But like, this is the album. And Timbaland and Missy did majority of the album, but Jermaine Dupri's on the album. What's the guy that worked with Brandy? Damn. I can't think of his name, but I think he also on the album. Like, they really did their thing on this album. And I go back and I revisit this album all the time. Luckily, I found a download link so I can download it onto my phone so I can play it in my car. Because I ain't got no CD player in my car. They don't put those in cars no more. But 1 in a Million is that album. It's the most influential album of the 90s when it comes to R&B, when it comes to even pop music. This kind of, they called it like bedroom R&B or this kind of slow, dark R&B. All that shit you hear was originated with the 1 in a Million album. And y'all can say, oh, well, it wasn't Aaliyah, it was Timbaland and Missy. It was Aaliyah. Aaliyah gave them a chance. She didn't have to work with Timbaland and Missy. So, of course, Aaliyah, 1 in a Million, Aaliyah 1 in a Million is number 2. So you already know what the number 1 album is. Let me take it out. I got the CD. I got the book. Do y'all miss this? For the people that have grown up and that are the same age or older, around like that, y'all remember CDs, like going to the store and buying CDs for like $10 to $12. Or if you went to FYE in the mall, that should be like $18. Never understood why the price was different. But this is the CD that my friend gifted me with, because all of mine were stolen. And this is the one with the DVD, which you see the covers right here. Yo, we might have gotten an Aaliyah anime. Can you believe it? Aaliyah album, or as a lot of the fans call it, the Red Album, is my number 1 on the ranking of Aaliyah albums. This album, I feel, is overlooked a lot, and a lot of the times I feel like it's overlooked because it didn't have the time to grow like in the public eye. One thing about releasing albums, you get to release albums, you get to release singles, you get to perform, you get to when you perform them on shows and stuff, you get to kind of interpret these songs differently. You get to have multiple videos. Aaliyah only got the chance to do 3 videos for this album, and this album has so many gems on it. This album, I feel, is very influential. If you listen to Aaliyah album and you listen to Beyonce's Lemonade album, it's a lot of parallels. I really feel like Beyonce was listening to the Aaliyah album when making hers, because the trying of the different genres all on where the mixes of everything, like, that is what this album is. We Need a Resolution, of course, Timbaland production. She opened up with that for this new era. Loose Rap was supposed to be the first single, but you know, they went with We Need a Resolution. Never No More, I Care for You, which I believe was recorded back in '96 because it was supposed to be for the 1 in a Million album, and they kept it and they put it on this album, which it fit perfectly. She messed around with like the salsa kind of sound, Spanish sound with Read Between the Lines. What If was a rock song, and I can just imagine, because Aaliyah was a big rock fan, she was actually gonna go into the studio with Korn, who worked on the music for Whitney the Dam. So this could have been a preview of her working with Korn. Like, Aaliyah was really stepping out of just that R&B lane and getting into everything else, every other genre, and there's so many genres on here. My personal favorite is probably going to be It's Whatever. That's like the first song I listened to when I seen the news scroll across the freaking TV that she passed, and I couldn't believe it. That's the first song I put on, immediately start crying. Like, this is such a solid classic album, and I feel like it needs to be revisited and studied. And her whole career needs to be studied, because when you look at her career, the growth here, and it was a subtle growth. Like, you know, Christina Aguilera to me kind of went from kind of this cutesy kind of cute, sexy pop star to this crazy butt naked pop star with Strip, which I didn't mind because Strip is one of my favorite albums of all time. But Aaliyah really gradually grew, not growed. Ooh, did I go to college? She gradually grew throughout the years, and her music grew. And one thing it's one thing I love about Aaliyah and her career, and one thing I hate about it. And I love that she took her time. She didn't rush albums. She took her time. She made the music she wanted to make. She worked with the people she wanted to work with. And I hated it because had we known Aaliyah was going to die, pass away at 22, it would have been great to have more music from her. But would her whole catalog be flawless if she would have had more music? To be honest, if you can think of a bad Aaliyah song, out of all the songs that she released during her life, woo, blah, blah, blah. Name a bad Aaliyah song. It's like a horrible song. Name a bad Aaliyah album. You can't name any. And if you can, leave it in the comments. Like, the Aaliyah album was so different from what we were hearing around that time in the early 2000s. And I love it. And I have to revisit it because sometimes I'll just, I told you I found a file to put it on my phone so I can listen to it if I'm like at the gym or something. Okay. But I find myself listening to What If, like I don't know, it's such a dope album, and I think we need to really revisit it. But that's my ranking. Aaliyah, her last studio album is my favorite Aaliyah album. I feel like it's her best album, her best work to date. And this album is one of those albums that gives you everything, but you're like, it's something missing. And I feel like the fourth album would have been like her, I don't know, like her Control. Well, I don't know. What's like that big, like her Emancipation of Mimi. I feel like the fourth album would have been the Emancipation of Aaliyah kind of album, like where you've had the success and you don't have to prove yourself, but it's probably going to be like some time between albums, and it's like, are you going to be able to come back, and you're just going to be able to come back with this? And it's going to be great. I have a lot of Aaliyah videos coming up because it's coming up to the 20th anniversary of her passing. Where do you think Aaliyah would have been if she was here the past 20 years? That video is coming up. I'm going to do a video about her deep cuts, her songs that were not singles, that were on some soundtracks, that were just album cuts that I feel like should have been singles and that should be revisited. I'm going to also look into those. And who else knows what else? What is your favorite Aaliyah album? What is your favorite song from her albums? You guys like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below, and I will see you next time.